Good evening and welcome to everyone who has joined tonight's webinar online. I'm Patricia Logue, Mayor of Derry City and Strabane District Council, and over the coming months I will be hosting a series of bite-sized information webinars to give households in our council area and advice and guidance in coping with the cost of living. I am acutely aware that many households across our council area have been facing another tough winter of struggling to meet financial demands placed on them by rising energy and food prices. We all know that this can take a toll on our health, worrying about bills and having enough to provide for our families. I really want to stress to everyone listening that help is available and that these services are here for everyone who at this stage needs a little extra support. We are extremely grateful to our local organisations, and there are many volunteers who are doing critical work on the ground to support householders at this time by providing confidential, trusting and professional services. In this series of webinars, I'll be meeting some of them personally to highlight their service and to allow them to give more detailed information and advice to our households in our council district. Tonight is the second of our series of webinars, and the focus is on fuel and energy support. I'm delighted to be joined by Gemma Cowles, Project Manager, and Nikki Sinclair, Energy Advisor with the Northern Ireland Housing Executive. Many of us will be familiar with the Housing Executive and may be living in homes provided by the Executive, but we may not be familiar with the support that the Housing Executive can offer or schemes that they deliver that can help households save money. The energy crisis we are experiencing is unprecedented, and many would say that is driving the current cost of living crisis. In October 2021, 4.5 million households in the UK were in fuel poverty. As of the 1st of January 2024, this has risen to 6.5 million. In the north of Ireland, a household is considered to be in fuel poverty if it needs to spend more than 10% of its income on fuel. A poll commissioned by the National Energy Action in June 2022 found that 45% of households in the north were in fuel poverty. In our webinar tonight, I hope we can provide households throughout our council area with useful information and advice that they can use to help reduce their energy bills. I'd just like to point out that anyone joining the webinar online can take an active part in the discussion by submitting your questions to the chat box facility on screen. I just want to assure you that you will not come on camera, nor your name will not be seen on screen, nor will you have mic access. So that just leaves me to come to Gemma and Nikki now, and you're very welcome, the both of you. I look forward to hearing your very valuable advice. So just to start off, Gemma and Nikki, we want to give households information on some of the energy support schemes that the Housing Executive deliver. And there's a few in particular that I'd like to touch on tonight. So Gemma, I think we will start with you on the Affordable Warmth Scheme.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and thank you so much for having us here tonight.
You're very, very welcome. I'll start with the Affordable Warmth Scheme, and for anyone who's not familiar with it, can you please tell us a wee bit about the scheme, Gemma?
Yes, I'm going to just share my screen and just reiterate what you'd said about Housing Executive and how we look after many other things. I know when I started working there, I didn't understand that we did so much more. So part of my title you were giving out, and I'm delighted to hear you give out those statistics about fuel poverty awareness. Part of my job role and my title has fuel poverty in it. So I'm project manager for NIHE Energy Advice, but also reduction of fuel poverty. So we're very keen to help people and to help all of the people on the call tonight. It's a very serious subject and sad at the minute, but we just want to make maybe we're a bit light on this so that we can help and we can have other people approaches. We'll give out all of our details and I'll send this to Linda so that she has everything that we shared tonight, or yourself, Mer, so you can share that on. We're delighted to be here. We're here not only for our tenants. If we've got tenants on the call, that's fantastic. But Nikki and I, part of our remit is to reach out to the other 800,000 homes as well as our 82,000. So the 800,000 homes could be, a tremendous amount of those people are now in private rental, which at the, and yourself and people on the call have known that's risen, just like the fuel poverty's risen, the price of private rental. And actually the affordable warmth schemes there, if you're a private renter or a homeowner, our own tenants don't need as much of this grant advice, because if they've something wrong and they come to us, we contact their patch manager or their housing advisor or our own financial services in-house or whatever else, and they get a chance to have that fixed. So there is a benefit and a plus being, having a tenancy with the largest social sort of housing authority. So this is not for our own tenants, although they can share that with family or friends that aren't, and I would encourage them to do that. But the affordable warmth scheme, just to give you a wee bit of background on that, when we came in, Nikki and I we just get signposted to affordable warmth, but actually in June of this year, DFC said we're going to put it all into one big pot. The housing executive processed that, and the councils did a wonderful job at the administration. They've put it all together, and Nikki and I were given the job of triaging everyone through that. So we're delighted to say that we've triaged over 4,000 people from September. So the word's out there. I'm talking to Linda and the team because we reached out to councils, and councils reached out to us because, they did this previously. They were the experts at this. So Nikki and I have been doing this now from September, and I'm a project manager. Nikki's the person that gives the great advice. But just to let you know, the affordable warmth schemes for people in fuel poverty. So it's one of the major schemes to look after you if you feel that you are spending that 10%. If you have a child under 5 at home, or if you have a parent living with you, or you're a pensioner, you're over 65, you're older, then you can be entitled to boiler replacement under the affordable warmth scheme. The affordable warmth scheme holds with it 4 priorities, and Nikki and I talk to people. Well, Nikki talks to people every day that say, "I want to fix my windows," and windows are a priority, but they're the 3rd priority. The first priority, Patricia, is the priority to have your house insulated, because if you have a great boiler and that boiler's working fast, like a car from the northwest down to Belfast, you've got it at 70 miles an hour the whole way down, people are burning out boilers rather than looking at insulation. So one of the first priorities on the affordable warmth scheme is that what we would say first is that you prioritise and get your insulation done. The affordable warmth scheme offers about £7,500 in total it's a whole house approach. So we want to talk to someone who needs that whole house approach. There's Nikki's going to talk about NIHE grants, which are the old levy pot. There's a pot where they take some of your money from your utility bills and it goes into that pot. So we're all entitled. If you meet the criteria, everyone's entitled to apply for the grant. And Nikki will tell you what's still sitting there and what's available. So if you have a boiler over 15 years, if you have a child at home, and we'll send all of this information out to everyone. So the priority is you have to have a boiler over 15 years to replace a boiler. It has to be either that, or just last month, just after Christmas, someone seen the light and said, you know what, the boiler can be broken beyond repair. So it can be whatever age, if you've had it maintained, if you've kept up the maintenance on that, it can be whatever age, as long as your warranty says, no, it's broken, it's not fixable, we'll look at that as well. So if you need a new boiler, the first thing that we look at when we send a technical advisor out is, do you need insulation? So it comes along with that whole house. It means everything's up to date. So older insulation can be replaced a new boiler would be replaced. The next step would be to replace your windows if they're single glazed or over 25 years and they need resealed. Then they'll do that for you. And the final thing, and this might be really appropriate to the Northwest, would be those with solid walls. So we rarely see big cities like Derry and Belfast have solid walls. So that would mean they would put solid wall insulation as well. So that would bring your grant up to 10,000. So we've said here it's a grant of 7,500, but it'll bring it up to 10,000 if you need any other measures. These measures can be applied singly. So someone can come along and say, I don't need insulation, but I need a boiler and I meet that criteria for the boiler. I'm under 23,000. My boiler's old or it's broken beyond compare. Can you help me with this? And we'll say, certainly. If you meet that other criteria, you can be considered. And what Nikki does, she triages through so that you're not given that false hope. You're not lifting an application form in the post office or in a doctor's surgery or wherever they sit, and you're not filling that in to be thinking, oh my goodness, I might get help with this, to be told that you won't get help. This will be a scheme for the worst first. So what we'll do is we'll set now all of the applications that have went out will all be assessed, and we have technical officers go out to the houses, but at least we're telling people at the minute it looks like you are eligible for this grant, but there needs to be a lot more consideration once the application goes in. And if at that point Nikki discovers, you know what, she does an income calculator with you, so you could think you're earning 23,000, and by the time all of that's calculated up, you might be on 24,000. Remember, this is for a couple in a home, so it's a whole household income. Nikki will let you know if you earn more than that. The other criteria as well was for if you're on PIPs and a number of the other grants that we would go through with you to say, the other payments that benefits, we would say, you know, you're on those benefits. Though you're eligible then for your boiler. So, you know, anyone, here you go. So anyone over 65 have a child, receive a child benefit or kinship or foster care. You receive disability allowance, personal PIP, personal independence payment, or attendance allowance or injury benefit, then you're more than eligible for, and you're under the 23,000. Living in Northern Ireland is your first home, so you can't say, oh, I've got a holiday home in Northern Ireland, or I want it for my holiday home in Benone, which would be a beautiful part of the world to have a holiday home, but we want it for a cottage up near. No, it has to be the house that you live in. It's not a tremendous amount of money when the schemes, we've taken on the same pot that I'm sure Linda remembers. And when it was in councils, there were 11, the 11 councils, each one of them had 22 grants per month, which works out about, what is it, 244 per year, but then that's by 11. So there's quite a lot. There's a lot of schemes. The other thing is too, we can tell you how to get the best out of a boiler or how to prepare, you know, no, your boiler's not broken, or you're not 23,000, but you know what, get your insulation done now and look at the boiler scheme when it comes out again. And Nikki will tell you the criteria is a bit higher for this. Now, the best thing that I like about this, and we can say as much as we want about landlords being able to get their homes fixed up, I'm more concerned with the tenant in the home at that time. If the landlord's looking to do this, then, you know, I'm delighted. So landlords come along and if they agree to pay 50% of this grant, we'll pay the other half. So what we're doing for anyone that's in a rented property at the minute that they feel is colder than it should be, they're paying more for their heating than their friends are mentioning, or they just think this heating was never on 5 hours or 12 hours a day or whatever they have to do, call your landlord and tell them to speak to us, or we'll send out all of the links. Everything's on our website. So the affordable want details are all on our website. There's a link within this document at the top. I just don't want to go through that at the minute and take us off the sharing. But we'll send all of those links so that you can read everything and you can pass that on to your landlord. And we would be ecstatic to see more of them. This is being looked at now by DFC. Obviously, they pay the money and they pay the housing executive to carry out the service. And we're not quite sure what the budget will be, but you know, we're very hopeful that the budget will increase on this. the more calls that we get and the more calls we've recorded for eligible people gives us point to lobby to say, like, how many people are eligible for this? How are we going to sort the worst first from this? It used to be a targeted scheme as well, so you just have to live in an area. The targets have been lifted away, so we're not looking at, so you can live anywhere. And as long as you're eligible through the set criteria and you need the work done, you know, you could be lucky enough to have that full house and fixed up. And look at this now, getting out of winter so that you'll get it done in the summer months. People phone us up in October and say, I'm freezing. And it's like, you're going to be cold now when there's people in like putting in boilers and putting other stuff into your home. So consider stuff like this in summer or in spring coming out of the winter as well. And see, can you get it done a bit sooner? And it's painless, you know, if you don't get this, we'll show you what else you can get. Even up to the point of earning, there isn't any set criteria on NIHE to be given up to a third off your insulation, up to £500. So it's great if you're working and, you know, you're not earning a tremendous amount, but you're looking to find money to do your insulation. We can point you in that direction too. There's a new grant out just released last week. It's from Phoenix Energy and the Action Renewables in Belfast, and it's for gas. And they'd allow you £400 off your gas when you're replacing your new boiler. So there's quite a few things out there. Nikki's there to take calls. We've taken from September, we've taken nearly 12,000 calls. So the team are there, they're ready to give you advice. And if it's a financial debt advice, whether it's, you know, we're very tight with our stakeholders and we pass it on. And even at that, we see a lot of things from counsellors come in. We get a lot of MLAs asking about a wee couple. And if we can help the couple, we'll do that. If we can't, we'll say, can we have a number? And we'll give the person a ring back. So for the like of anyone that's on here from the council this evening, use the service with us. We'd be delighted and we give you all the help we can to promote that and to push that message out. And it'll be better than this PDF. We probably should have had this on PowerPoint, but it's great. You know, we're here to help.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gemma. That was certainly very useful. I think you have answered lots of the questions that I have in front of me, but just to sort of recap for people out there from what I was hearing from yourself, and it would have been the same when council was running the affordable warmth scheme, that this is only open to people who live in private accommodation, that it's not open to social housing tenants. If they have issues with their heating systems or insulation or whatever, they must contact their social housing provider, should it be the housing executive or whatever association. But I think that's good news to know that, you know, there are many people in private rented accommodation, and that allowance that will give the landlord 50% of the overall bill, it's absolutely a great initiative, and it will help both their tenants and the landlord, because it certainly will enhance the condition of their property.
Absolutely, and carbon savings as well. I mean, our first instance at the minute with cost of living is the monetary savings, but really it's the carbon savings as well. So it puts us down that road of, you know, help from DFE and government saying, you know, we're meeting these targets as well. So, you know, that's the promotion side of that would give us to sort of push that a wee bit more.
Gemma, just to touch on the £23,000 threshold there, I do remember that when council were rolling this out, we were successful in lobbying, I think it was Deirdre Hargey at the time, to get the PIP and the disability living allowance money taken off. That's not considered within that 23,000. So is that still the case?
Nikki would triage. Nikki, when you triage for these schemes, I would believe it is just the PIP and the disability allowance, because I remember that happening with Deirdre, and actually the increase was, remember, it was brought up because it was
Yes.
less, wasn't it? So that was, we increased the amount when councils had it. But when you do your income calculator, Nikki, are some of the benefits considered, or?
The disability living allowance and the PIP and the attendance allowance isn't taken into the income criteria.
Brilliant. So that's
But-
the same.
And I suppose that just leads me to touch on, you don't necessarily have to be in benefits at all. You could be in a very low paid job. And again, apply for these grants as well.
Absolutely.
So when somebody comes to yourselves then and you go through the criteria, does somebody come out and assess the property? You know, you did mention you needed, and the house could need insulation, it could need a new boiler, it could need windows, etc. So who determines what the actual property needs?
Right, so once the application goes out and it comes back into us and you've met all of the criteria, the income criteria, living and outlined, all the stuff that we discussed, then one of our technical advisors visits the property and they'll decide then. So none of the work should start, because a lot of people will phone us and say, I needed insulation, I needed it for winter and I've started it, but I want to go through this grant now. You can't do that because it does have to be advised by our own technical advisors. Not only that, they then say how you'll go about starting the work, what you'll do, what we need to get from you first before the work starts. So
Yeah.
they do visit the home. So we have grants offices around the province, and they go out to their local people that apply.
Yeah, that's great. And that the applications are open all year round, yes?
Yeah, they're still open. Now, the only thing is that we have an abundance of people coming through, probably more people that we see need for than we're just seeing the need straight away, because we couldn't have seen that when we processed the grant. But I'm sure that happened for council as well. The thing is that it will be worse first, but it will be, as you said, you were able to lobby with Deirdre, then maybe we could look at that and see, this is a great need. There's evidence of a higher need for, of course, at the minute with budgets and stuff, but I'm sure we'll be bringing that to them as well and the other thing we can do as well is we can plot where these are coming in from. We could tell, from Derry City Council would tell us, so here's my 22, or I've got this much, but this is instant, at the minute we're plotting these around and seeing who's doing this, even there was applications from as far away as Rathlin, and we're saying we wouldn't have known that before. So it gives us that full control of lobbying, or that full control of where do we go next. Nikki and I have started contacting doctor surgeries and stuff within areas, because we can see areas that aren't applying. So we can put our market into that, we can go out more to those people. And the areas that are applying are obviously being told it's available. Yeah,
I do think that that's good news, that it's no longer a targeted approach, because there was many who would have fell out outside the targeted area. Now, that's not saying some of those people were, and they did, and they ended up get the heating, but they had it was a bit harder for them to access the grants than those in the targeted area. I'm also aware that our council district was one of the highest when the council run it. We were one of the highest uptakes of the scheme, so that was great. But I'm also aware that there are still many homes out there who could avail of these grants.
Yes.
So you just mentioned there, Gemma, that you were contacting GP surgeries and all. The application form, is that solely online, or can you send them out to community groups like a GP surgeries, community centres? Are there hard copies that can be got?
There aren't this year, because for the first year that we did it, as I said, that's the part that Nikki's and the rest of my team fulfill, is that we triage somebody straight away. The worst thing is to give someone false hope that maybe you would not believe how many people, because my remit is as the project manager is to ask Nikki, what do you see often today? And they often see people saying, I meet that criteria, and they fill in an application form and they don't. And then that's, it's not that it's saved, obviously it saves on admin, but it saves on someone maybe missing out on an ISEP insulation grant that's sitting there and available today. So that gives Nikki the chance to say, to ask about damp and condensation on a call. Everyone that we've talked to has been triaged, that's been triaged through the Affordable One, has either been signposted on the NIHE, or we've helped them with their energy saving within the home and our energy hints and tips. So, so I think when we had paper applications out there, people were filling those in, maybe not like Nikki taking them through where she can take your income, and we've an income calculator that tells you, you may not get this because it's just an application phase, it's the first step, but you're at least in the first step and you're entitled to be on that first step. A lot of people were doing it before that weren't. And I'm sure your councils would remark on that too. We did get people that maybe weren't eligible. So then what you have to do is find them and try to contact them again for what they are eligible for. And we believe at the minute this is working beyond what we ever considered, because we almost have 5,000 applications in a pot. So so we're not thinking of putting those out there, but what we are thinking of doing is educating the GP. And we've been talking to practice managers to say, if we give you this stuff and a GP notices that somebody might be in need, then they can promote that, and they can give us it's a free phone number. And we'll give out that number to Linda and yourself to share it. So
okay. Is there any downloadable posters that could be printed off?
Yes, at
with
the minute,
basic information on it. So maybe community centres and all public buildings could maybe put this information up.
yeah,
that,
at the
that
minute
this is available.
Sorry, at the minute we're working on a new brochure, because the old brochure, it just went so crazy when we just took it in-house and launched it. So we were waiting to find out, was a broken boiler, was it going to be part of the criteria? Could we add that in? Yeah. And yes, that came along, and with no government in place, you know how difficult it is to get sort of, anyone to say, yes, that's absolutely fine. So at the minute, we've all of the criteria down, and I know that the grants team are working on a new brochure. We're also working on a new website. I was trying to bring that up just there. If you bear with me 1 wee second. This is hilarious when we're doing when we're doing oh, here's it here. When we're doing Zoom, our Teams, this just comes up automatically. So I do apologize if we're trying to share this. Trying to get back to you now to see where you are from we have a new Zoom for a wee while. But if I show you what we're doing at the minute is this is just, and this is an exclusive to anyone on the call. We're looking at a triage form. So we're looking for a form that you'll click on our website and it'll bring up and it'll triage. This is just a mock, so it's not real, and it's not to look as it is. It's just for us for accessibility now. So it'll have all of your GDPR and everything else on it. But if I put my name into it, or Nikki's name, and if you have a postcode, Tricia, I'd put that in, and
BT4.
just for your office, even BT40.
Well, that's my home address
Oh,
postcode.
I put mine in. It's fine. I didn't want you to be putting your home address in. So if I put a home address in there, it shows the person straight away which council they're under, which is great. So then we know, and this falls into the background of this so that we can report back to councils. Oh, it's just automatic to where your council area is, and there's no need to be for us to look. It also tells them which area office they're under if they're one of our own tenants, or which grant office they'll be in. It'll look absolutely different. This is the back end of it. But the big thing about this is for posters or anything else, this will cater for you specifically. So if you're a housing executive tenant, you can see down here it doesn't say anything. But if I say, look, I'm a housing executive tenant, what can you do for me, for your own tenants? It'll come up and it'll say, for a housing executive tenant, these are your issues that we can help with. So if you And then what we'll do is my team will call them back. The other stuff will say, if you're a landlord, there's a caveat for the affordable warmth, and then we'll tell a landlord what they can get. So that for us, for work, not just working online, because obviously we will send out the doctor surgeries and stuff. We will send out the posters in the new, our council areas, council offices, anywhere we can get that from our own local grants office. That will go out widespread locally. But no, the only thing is we're not going to share. So you can see, and then at the end of that, there'll be a triage form that goes right down. Triage is you right through the affordable ones, so you don't even have to speak to Nikki or the team, and then the application comes up, so you can fill that in if you're eligible. So we're not catching anyone that's not eligible. So
yeah, that's great, and I do think it would be very beneficial of when that's up and running, that information is sent out to all advice centres.
yes,
Within the council areas, because they are the people who are working with people day in daily on different matters, and I think it would be very useful for them to know that as well. Look, that's been really, really informative. Gemma, now I don't know if you'll know the answer to this. I think it's the last question, but might be too early in your scheme yet. But have you any notion of what kind of savings people can expect to, get if they go through the affordable warmth scheme? What is the reduction in their energy bills? Would you have any notion of that? Or
I know annually what they could save, and what we've offered is, and on the form that will go out, because that's what we were looking at today, the form that they will get, I actually have the proof here, just the proof copy, not the proof of it. The proof copy, if I can share this, 1 wee second. So that way affordable warmth item tells you, so it'll tell everyone, and so does the posters. So the posters tell you, if you put new insulation in, you can save this amount. Obviously, this is just an average, because you could live in a 4-bedroom house and you could, or you could put your heat on all day long. There's people that are very,
I know there
so
is.
it won't always be, but I'll just show you now. If I can share this wee screen here. So this is the proof that we were looking at, the proof document for the affordable warmth scheme. It's an update. This is the older copy. So what we looked at was for, I'm just trying to get this back to the size it should be. So what we looked at here was, where do you lose energy in your house, and how can we help you to maintain that energy? And then on this, so it's how can you help me with the scheme? What can I do? What are the measures? And then it does tell you for insulation. And as you said, when this was asked, when we looked at fuel poverty before the House Condition Survey results came out in December, fuel poverty was at a much less, the percentage was much less. It was 32% in the Northwest 4 years ago. That's now up, over 40+% for fuel poverty. So these figures change as well. If you think about it, on an average, you could save £275 a home. It's probably £310 per year, I've seen, if you bring up the measure of your insulation up to about 300 millimeters. And it'll tell you what does this entail? What do I have to let you do? Do I have to move my tank? Do I have to do this? So can I still store stuff in my attic if I have insulation? So it's a great wee booklet. And we're not going to change much of this, except the phone numbers for the council and stuff that we would have had on it. But we do say, this was initially a scheme that was promoted by your council, which is great, given to us, and we're hoping that we're doing is, a good job at following on from you. So this was used then, and we'll just take the information from it. So that's what will go out, plus the poster.
Brilliant. We'll look forward to that, Gemma. And I suppose over to yourself now, Nikki. So apart from the affordable warmth scheme, are there any other energy efficiency grants that will be useful for householders to know about?
Yes, there's a scheme. It's called the Northern Ireland Sustainable Energy Programme, and it's the NIHE schemes. And it's a 2-year programme, and it's managed by the Energy Saving Trust, and it's operated by the utility regulator. And we signpost customers. Say, for instance, someone comes in and would say their income's maybe 24,000 and they need insulation or they need a new boiler. The NIHE schemes have a wee bit more of an income bracket. They have a wee bit more of an allowance. Their single person household income is 28,000. And if it's a couple or a single parent family, the income is 35,000. And that qualifies you for a fully funded boiler and fully funded cavity wall and loft insulation. Now, as you can imagine, the grants for the boilers, they're all maxed out at the moment, and they do go very quickly. It is a 2-year programme, like I said, but we do emphasise to insulate first, because someone could come in to us and say, my boiler's not as efficient, my house, it's not running very well, my house is cold very quick. We would say straight away, insulate first. There's grants sitting there at the moment for loft insulation, fully funded, and cavity wall insulation, fully funded. If for any reason, like Gemma was saying, that the income is over the threshold, then we would say there's still a grant there. There's still a third off. It's a maximum of £500 per insulation measure that you could get off whatever your loft, your cavity wall, whatever you need. So we would always say, get the insulation done. You know, Jem was saying, do it in the summertime. So then come the winter, you're prepared for winter. So your boiler's not working mega hard, and you'll get a wee bit longer out of your boiler until the grant. Now the grants should be available here. We're thinking end of March, beginning of April. The new scheme will be released. I'll just actually share my screen, and I'll, 1 wee second. If I can get this up here. Can you see my wee screen okay?
Not at the minute, no.
No, 1 wee second, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm not now.
Is that me now?
You just have to go into your document, Nikki.
That's me a minute. You know, can you get it? Can you see it, Gemma?
No, I can just see it ourselves. But if you,
I can see it, but it's very small.
Yes. Sorry. Can you see it now? Sorry.
No, it hasn't changed
if you
at all.
stop sharing 1 wee second, Nikki, so
Yeah,
if you stop sharing, when you go into share again, you'll see a screen. So don't share Patricia, or don't share the mayor himself, share the screen that you see your NIHE grants on. So loads of screens will come up, or depending on how many screens you have sort of open, and click that one.
Yeah, it's not that. Sorry about this.
Fine. Here,
No,
you talk
okay.
through it. I'd share. Let me see if I've got NIHE here.
See, even if you want to share that document after, you know, we can put it up on our website.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry,
No, that's okay. That's okay.
All right.
But you know, if you could maybe just email that to us, and we can put
Yes,
a update, which might be easier. I just want to talk about the oil savings schemes. Can you tell us a wee bit about those and how they work, and who will be eligible to avail of it?
Right. So I look after the oil schemes, or manage that as the project, and all of anyone in Northern Ireland. So there's no criteria ceiling. Obviously, I'm going to be out for the people who are fuel poor and anybody who wants to avail of the service quicker. And when I took it over, we had oil buying clubs. So there were 27 clubs, 5,000 members, sporadic across Northern Ireland. And what we hope to do, and we've now done this, was to offer this to every postcode in Northern Ireland. So we've went out to suppliers. We've talked to suppliers across Northern Ireland, and a lot of the smaller suppliers can't really afford to give a big discount if there's loads of people. But the like of today for the Northwest, we had Moores come in with a fantastic price, and we were able to say, right, if you can give that price to you, and I'll just show you what we do. So this is a dashboard, so it's not anything confidential. We're more than happy to share it. So this wee dashboard, Jack looks after oil savings, along with me, and I look after the stats for it. So here's today's, which is great because here's Moore's here. So right along there, you can see for Moore's own price online was 87 pence per kilo per
Peter,
litre.
yeah,
And when you're from Belfast, it's ridiculous because we're predominantly gas. So you think, what? 68% of Northern Ireland's in oil? Are you serious? I haven't seen an oil tank for years. And then you have to work with it, you realise this is ridiculous. Whenever I sat down and was given the task, could you look after these oil clubs? I could not believe that the myth was, this is a big myth, that the more that you order, the more discount you'll get from a supplier like Moore's or Scott's or anywhere else. That's rubbish. They know how much they can give off because they know how much quantity they have. So what we were doing then was oil buying clubs had someone obviously that organised it that used oil, and a lot of the people were able to buy 1,000 litres. Some of them, even when the Ukraine crisis was on, were buying another oil tank to put more oil in. So they had 2 oil tanks in the backyard. So what I believed was, I'm going to talk to these suppliers. We talked to them and they said, no, it doesn't matter if you've got 10 people or 10,000 people. We know how much we can give you as a discount, and we know how much reserves we have to deliver all of those. So what we did was we emphasised to people who are in fuel poverty, either through your stamp system with their council, and I'm working with actually Derry City Council at the minute, that we're looking for a different way to look at stamps, because a lot of the wee tiny shops that sold them have all went under through COVID and stuff. So we're looking at other ways of being able to, and maybe even electronically, like you can do with your gas, is tapping your phone, your card, and putting money on stamps rather than having to go and buy physical stamps. So we are working on that for next winter. Unfortunately, things like this do take time, but if we get it right, now this is, as you can see, this is every postcode's covered. These were all our orders today. The ones from the Northwest chose Moore's. I advocate that you buy 200 litres to see it stop fuel theft. No one needs to have a tank of 1,000 litres. Nikki just yesterday did an oil pricing index for me. We do it daily. Jack did it today, Nikki did it yesterday, and we can see if the price is rising. So it's predictive, if you're honed in on that price, it's predictive. We have a brilliant relationship with the providers. So here's some of the providers that give discounts today. And is this today's? If not, it's another day anyway. It's got Moore's on, but I believe it might be today's. So the like of the supplier charging £87.50, they give us a discount then of 7.5. So that was a discount of 10p per litre. We can't give this away. We're going out to all of our tenants. We're going out as often as we can to everyone. But when you're trying to make it work, you don't always get the chance to promote. So we are trying to promote. This is a fantastic opportunity. Linda's given us now to send this to yourself. The savings on that were £20 for 200 litres. So you're going to use Moore's next Wednesday. You're going to use us. When I took it on, you had to send all the details away. So you had to join, you had to be committed, you had to do whatever else. I don't really care where you get your discount from. I'm delighted. If you can take the discount from our team, and you can go to your old provider and say, Moore's, you're doing this at £10 less. Will you give me it for a discount as well? I'm delighted, because we don't monitor the end side of this. We just want the suppliers to let us know what percentage of people availed of the discount. So what we did was change the system. I'll give you a wee email address or a phone number. You can email, and the out of office will tell you exactly what to do. Send us all we need from you is your first name. So I just need Nikki, BT15 7PL, and I just need a phone number or contact. And we go out weekly. We ask you, do you want to order? You don't have to order. If you don't come back to us at all, if you need an order, we say, don't need to tell us too much, just say 200 litres, and then we work it out. So the 200 litres, well, this is October. I'm just looking down the side of that now. I've hit the wrong screen, we're covering it, the what do you call it? The view that I can see. People have jumped to the bottom of my screen there. It's covered now. Here's today's. I'm awful sorry. And it was mirrors as well. So the discount today, you can see the difference in price too. It was 87.5p when I looked at that one. So their own price today was 76. So it's come down a wee bit. There's all myths as well that oil goes up and it goes up and it goes up and keeps going up. It sort of levels out through the year. Wee bit of a difference between it and gas. But it is ridiculous because it's a fossil fuel, it's unregulated, and at any point, just like the war in the Ukraine, it can just fly off, you know, it can just begin to basically they say what they want. But today as well, there you go, there's £12.40 discount on 200 litres at a good price because their price was low, you know, the price is 76p. The people next to them were able to save 21.30, but actually it was because Dockery's were 5p more per litre. So we tried to even it out at the end and say, what was the average out of all that? It was about £15. Someone's not going to save 29.32 is because they were charging more initially. And they're, you know, they're happy to do that. And we tell them we share all their stats and their figures. When I take all the figures in at the end of the year and we calculate all those in weekly, you can see the savings are huge. The savings for people, and this is an average, but we've now almost reached 3 million litres for this year that we've helped people with. We could, you know, that could be scaled up to 10 million litres. It could be scaled up to 20 million litres because there's 1 million people potential orders per week, and we're helping up to 7,000. I want to scale this up, so we'll give you the email address. You email it off and the out of office tells you what you need from us. We don't send your details to a supplier. We don't order your oil for you. We don't take any money from you. But what we do is anyone that phones us for an oil order, anyone that places a tentative order, as I say, because we can't make anyone commit, we give you a code and you phone Moores with that code and Moores give you the discount. The thing I'd love to do for social supermarkets, and I mentioned this, I believe, to Linda, was I'd like to make that sort of forge that network between us so that we can send them that code for their social supermarket, so that then the social supermarket can share that code on a Wednesday for people who maybe don't have a phone to ring or don't have the internet to contact us, but they can use that code through us. So I'd be more than happy to give that out weekly. With the discount and what they do to do it, we send out absolutely everything we can. Nikki will tell you, we send out what the price is now, what the savings are that you're making this week. We put that in our out of office. So anyone on the call that wants to email oil savings at, and it's nihe.gov.uk, and I'll get these details. Maybe I'll put that in the chat just while we're before we finish. We'll find out what the discount was today. It'll already be up. So hopefully, you know, that's clear enough. We're trying to make it clearer. So if anyone has any further ideas, I'll be delighted.
Yeah. So again, Jeremy, you've answered a lot of the questions there. So this scheme is open to everyone. You can't use your normal supplier. You have to source the best price, but just on suppliers, only one from the Northwest has come back to you. Would that be correct?
Today, yes. So we go out to all of the suppliers. We go out to over 30 of the suppliers. 80 suppliers, but obviously some of the smaller suppliers, you know, they're not going to provide a discount for, you know, last week it was nearly 800 people, whatever. But yes, as I said, use that to barter. If I didn't want to use Moores today, I would be telling my local supplier, here you get £10 off from Moores today, or £12.20. What about a £5 off for me? And or what about £10 off for me? And I think they're very open. Any of the suppliers we talk to are very open to give discount. Always ask.
Yes, that's right. Look, I think that's it. You obviously just have to sign up with yourselves, and then I think that would be a great idea if you could get that rolled out, that the code is given to those who work with the social supermarkets. That would be really, really beneficial. But so just at the end of that, I can see people, will say, well, look, I just have no money. I just do not have any money for oil or gas today. Is there anything bar? I know we have our local charities, and they would be regional, the Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, who I do know both charities will give out small grants to those who are in dire need of the actual money for fuel. So is there anybody else out there that you can point people towards?
We can have a wee look. Bryson Energy had a grant recently. So Bryson Energy actually had a scheme where they were giving oil payments out. I'm not sure, Nikki, didn't you look recently to see, didn't you call Bryson just to make sure that's still ongoing? It was a small amount, but it wasn't finite, so it ends, and then it's difficult that they don't come back to us and say, before that money before the deadline, the money ran out. So we're quite and Linda will tell you what it's been like, for yourselves there and Derry City Council. Just when you put out a pot of money and before you realise that it's not going to last the 2 weeks of the open scheme, it's been lasting the first 2 hours of the open scheme because needs so it's so prevalent, unbelievable at the minute. So Nikki can check that out tomorrow again and send that through with the details we'll give Linda to see if that scheme's open. And sorry, Nikki, what were you going to say? You were talking.
You had to be signposted from your MLA.
That's right.
They had to go through the MLA to apply for the grant.
And I think that was just a gatekeeper, like, if you're sent through that way, then we're not, there were some people, I'm sure, taking advantage of stuff, but really we don't need to think of it in that sense. We'll have to think more, and there's more people that need this. But I do know that people didn't know where to go for it or didn't know how to ask for it. So they did put it through MLAs. And I do remember the story just before Christmas of the Sinn Féin office in North Belfast that was bombarded with people. There was a queue out the whole length of the road for people to be, coming forward for that. So really, it's getting, isn't it? It's really getting it right when you go out to people. If you think, I'm not going to my MLA, don't even like my local MLA, and why should I go to them? Or I'll go to my MLA and your MLA maybe didn't hear the schemes, because I'm sure they didn't educate every single MLA at the same time. And some are maybe more concerned with carbon savings or different cost of living issues other than energy. So it can be difficult, can't it? It's a hard call to get that right and have a team sitting behind it, obviously, as well. Some of the offices don't have big admin in their constituency offices.
That would be right,
that would be huge. But we'll give that detail out, and I'll ask Bryson if there's any sort of measure sitting at the minute. For our own people as well, we have a financial solutions team. And they're our own in the sense of the housing executive tenants on the call, or any tenants that are required. And even our financial solutions team will help with anyone if they're really stuck. I would say as well, talk to the suppliers, see what discount you can get from them, or if there's any help available. So there's a lot that can be done. And especially for you, I think people are sort of neglecting the fact that the power companies, the electric company and the gas companies have teams, and they've massive admin teams, and you should contact them before you get into massive difficulty with your payments, and to find out if they can help.
Just have a wee question on here from a person online. Can anyone get a grant for insulation if they are a homeowner, or is there an income threshold? Well, just to reiterate, I'll let yourself, Gemma, just answer that one again, because I know there's been a lot of information
So much information.
given here. So if you just want to answer that for our
Absolutely. There's insulation, and there's insulation grants sitting at the minute waiting for people to take on these or to phone. We'll put the companies in for NIHE. We'll give you that NIHE form. Even Nikki will pull them from it because loads of those have been maxed out. But we do know that Home Seal and, well, Nikki will know. Nikki, which companies are you going to advise people of to get back to tomorrow? And what's the threshold on that?
There's a company called Home Seal. On the NICEF scheme page, it's actually called Workspace. Their threshold is if it's homeowner fully funded cavity wall and loft insulation, single person household income must be less than 28,000 for a couple or a single parent family. The income would be less than 35,000. Home Seal and Blue Build, they're a Bangor-based company, and they both have availability at the moment. I was actually speaking to both companies today, and they do have availability. So there is insulation grants sitting there, and the turnaround of their insulation grants, they always seem to be quite quick. I was speaking to a gentleman on the phone, and I signposted him to Blue Build. He phoned me back and he said to me, Nikki, brilliant, they're coming next week to assess my property. So the turnaround is quite good, and they are sitting there and they're available.
And if you're over that threshold, Nikki, isn't it? If you're over that 35,000, there's a discount of up to a third.
Up to a third off. There's Home Seal have the £500 off, up to a maximum up to £500 insulation per insulation measure, and they still they have availability, like I was saying.
That's absolutely really, really useful information, and I hope that helps our caller online. Just very, very quickly, because I know time is running out, but the Housing Executive have launched an energy saving tool. Just very briefly, again, could you maybe highlight the what tips that they could give households on this energy saving tool?
Yeah, we'll give out, I'll send the link. We'll not share it now because we don't have enough time, but the tool itself, if you download the link on your phone's marvelous, like a little app, and it lets you see what you can do. Obviously, it being a tool that's trying to help save carbon and everything else, it'll throw up, oh, look what you can do. I laugh because it shows solar panels and everything else. It's like, yes, we would really want that. So what we did when we bought the tool, had to go out to e-tenders and Energy Saving Trust, won the tender, and we've now produced the tool, is we've said that this is fine for banks and people who are looking for more money off their mortgage, but we are dealing with vulnerable people. So we've got the links for affordable warmth in there, got the links to NICEF, we've got all of the details, and what we say to people is, consider if you've put an application in for your affordable warmth, go onto the tool and see what it'll save for you. Or the social supermarkets, this is what I say, because we find a bit of resistance to people wanting to go with gas when it moves into an area where it hasn't been before. Use the tool as a forward-facing advice tool for those that do give advice, the like in the social supermarkets, food banks. Bring up that tool and say, here's what you can save. If you get this grant, this is what it'll save you. And then it'll do what you'd ask. What will it save you on an annual basis? And you can say, but I don't need insulation. You can take that off and it'll show you what you'll save on your boiler. We're hoping to put the smaller measures in for next year. Like, what would you save if you turned your heating? You only used your heating twice a day, but it was on the right boiler setting. What would that save you? So a lot, but it's a fantastic wee tool. I love it, but I think, you know, it would probably be more beneficial for someone maybe buying a house or someone that has the money to do certain things to their house. So look at it in the sense of what would I do if I have a grant, and use it as an advice tool as well, instead of, you know, forward facing to yourselves. I know Nikki uses it and I use it, so.
Yeah. Well, look, again, Gemma and Nikki, thank you so very much for sharing that very valuable information. I just want to share with anyone who is online with us tonight that this will be available for repeated viewing if they want to advise their neighbours or friends of it, but also all the information discussed here tonight and all the other information that you're going to send, Gemma, will be available at www.derrystrabane.com/help with the cost of living. So I would certainly encourage everyone, if they can take a wee 5 minutes and look at that website, and hopefully they will get some help there that suits them. But again, I would just like to reiterate, for those who are in dire need of help with the cost of fuel, please contact either the Salvation Army, Bryson Energy, or St. Vincent's de Paul. And if you don't want to contact them directly, come to your local representative and they will direct you on your behalf. Please do not be sitting cold at home and thinking there is no help out there. So thank you all very much, and thank you for listening. Good night.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Good night.